Good evening, everyone. Welcome to TDG Soweto. We have another good talk for you today. So, by Chris, he'll be telling us about automation and integration workshop using Python. Yeah, we're actually here to get our minds blown. Some of us have been waiting to learn about Python. We have some data analysts in the house, so this should be a very good talk for them. So without further ado, let me leave it to you, Chris. The floor is yours.
Okay, sounds good. Everybody see me or hear me? Pretty good. I hope the technology will be nice to us as we move on, right? Okay, so let me go ahead and share the screen so you can, if you have any questions and so on, just go ahead and decide to type as many questions as possible, right? But as in fact we continue to exercise and interact with this, right? One of the most is about 70 members. Now, I know some will be joining in the middle. So this can be actually a very nice interaction because we're not so many, right? And then you see, like, with the time that we have, whether we can pick anything here or not. Now, I will go ahead and just share my screen, and kindly just let me know if you can be. Then we will keep on. We can. So let me go ahead. So if you can see my screen, ahead and give me a yes on. Right. So as our has pointed out, talk to you about automation. Now, I will leave a part of this talk. I will leave where, like, I will be able to respond to some of the questions that you may have. Talk. So essentially, I will just start briefly at the high level. Then, as more questions come in terms of just being curious about this thing, then I can actually get into the back end if you guys are interested. And if it requires any more time, then we can and talk more about it, right? Integration. This is part of what it is that I want to talk about. Now, basically, what is the aim here? The aim here is to share information. So at the end of the day, I think we empower ourselves by sharing. And it doesn't do you any bad, really. You gain more by sharing because then you end up knowing friends in do. And at the end of the day, we become really just a better analyst, better IT. Interactions are more enthused, right? When we are talking to different actors. The aim, as I said, is to share why we are doing this. Secondly, ask questions, because in my presentations, there is no question, right? Ask questions, pick some. Now, one said is that the people like you attend different sessions. This is not the first attended, and maybe there are some more sessions that you have attended. We tend not to on first is the confirmation by they don't love about change. We have part of basically for
only. So as we move forward, this is the really what are the quick pointers that I have to do. So the aim is to share information, ask questions throughout the presentation. Then, if kindly you will open your mindset for us to have an interaction and avoid confirmation bias and action that is worth listening to, right? All right. Why the topic? Why this topic, right? And in whose interest? We are looking at some of these questions as we move on. How does competition really look like in the current way of life, right? Okay, and we find out how some of these conditions, investments, business design, very critical to see how really the role of automation, integration, and the wave of new technology and new, right? This space, right? Then basically we look at some of you are data analysts, some of those tools that can give you an edge. Then with the time, some of you could be thinking about the new career path. Should this be the career path for you, or is right? So we'll be talking through about this. Now, my name is Chris Magas. I'm based in the and went to school both in Kenya and in the US, and then and I've worked for multiple. I've worked for Citigroup. I currently work for Citigroup, but as a data analyst at the Department of Health, right, in New York. Then I've been a BI developer at Bank. Then later on in Boston, I was a risk analyst. Analyzing specific positions to be able to give the company in the world of stock market. And we'll be talking about integration, and you will one for those who are interested in that area. You can, yeah, and I have a company called right, data analyst, data
Okay, I think Chris might be struggling with connection. Let's just give him about a minute to connect again. And you can ask any questions that you have so far in the chat. Thank you. join us again. Okay, Chris, I see you saying you're reconnecting. If you have any other challenges, just let us know in the chat and we'll help you out.
Hey guys.
Yeah, we can hear you, Chris.
All right. Is here. It seems the internet is just fine, but for some reason, it's starting to mess up a little bit. So I don't know how much or at what point I broke off, right? In terms of what I was saying.
So you were just speaking about your education background that you studied in Kenya and US, and yeah,
All right.
there. Yeah.
Okay. Good. So let's just pick up from there, and probably continue for the sake of everybody else. All right. So let me just go ahead and. So I am also checking. So I'm checking my I am checking my WhatsApp. So if you cannot hear me, just ping me on WhatsApp so that I can stop. I don't know how far I had gone before I started asking the questions. All right. So as I pointed out, this is I was trying to just tell you while presenting really about myself, also for you guys to pick up a few things here. if you see the role of technology and basically IT and this space, the beauty is that it doesn't matter what domain you fall in or you can work in. You can basically work in any domain. And I think some of you guys have realized. So for instance, when I was at Citigroup, what am I trying to do? What are we doing? It's basically we are training their developers, their data analysts. So we do research and we sharpen the team to be able to do what? To enhance their ETL, their reporting, and basically, you know, other aspects of the data science capabilities, right? So that's how we are doing there. If you look at the Department of Health, right, that was, as the name says, it was the Department of Health in government, right? And you can see there, you can easily fit in and become a data science or a data analyst. Bank of America, this was the use case was very simple. It was a cost benefits analysis use case. It was simply a cost use case, basically trying to analyze how much does the bank spend on a daily basis across multiple lines of business. So if you look at State Street, this was totally in the stock market, right? In fact, I was working in a small risk unit, analyzing and assessing risk in most of those positions, right? Okay, and then finally, as I was saying, I do have a company that specifically does the training, right? It has a branch in Kenya and in the US at the same time. All right, so with that in mind, then let's start to assess some of these topics. And I hope at this point in time, you guys can still hear me, right? All right. So going forward, as we ask the question, is it in whose interest, right? Why should you care about this, right? And as it's pointed out, there's basically various these things are interacting in our lives. So that's why you should actually care, because they have influence. Whether you're talking about social media, whether you're talking about sending cash, whether you're talking about ChatGPT, we have been talking about AI a lot on our groups. Then whether you're talking about cryptocurrency, whether you're talking about job application stocks, right? These are some of the areas that I've been able to personally, I've been able to integrate, right? Using the capabilities of Python and other tools to be able to integrate all these applications to be able to enhance efficiency, right? Because that is essentially why we do this. Every person does this for every person, every business, and every organizations or institutions does this for multiple reasons. For these very reasons, one is to be able to have an edge, to get an edge in the world of competition, right? Secondly, to avoid losses, to make the processes much more efficient. And then to be even much more improved service, basically be able to be much more effective in your work, right? If you have a business, basically what you are trying to do is to pinpoint new markets. That's the whole reason why every individual, every organization or institution for that matter, tries to get into the world of automation, innovation, and use of technology is for these 4 reasons. That's the reason why, and that's why you should be interested, because it doesn't matter where you are, you are basically getting affected and bombarded with this new information all the time. Now, I want now to get into the whole a little bit into to go deep. So you guys have heard with the AI, there's a lot of worry that has popped up in our lives, right? One of them is about losing jobs, right? Is AI going to take our jobs, right? Probably you guys, for those of you who are in IT, we are worried about whether or not the AI is going to replace some of us who code, some of us who do data analysis, some of us who do 1 or 2 things. But I tend to look at it differently. Just like any other thing, when computers came, people thought about, the internet came, people thought about, hey, computer jobs, they're going to take away some jobs and so on. And frankly, to be honest, yes, some jobs are going to go, right? Now, how have I been able to use these the capabilities of AI so far, right? And we are going to really go into the practical as we start now to talk about to interact with at the level of what it is, what this presentation is all about. Now, I hope you guys can still hear me. I want to repeat that because we are having internet connections. Can you still, you can just give me a chat window on the chat window, whether we are still together, guys, right? Just to make sure that I'm actually not talking to myself there, right? Okay, perfect. Thanks, guys. Okay, now, what we have actually, what I'm talking about here is that we have been talking about AI, right? Now, I just came from Ghana. I just flew in this morning from Ghana. Now I'm in Kenya, right? And when I was in Ghana, I wrote a letter to be invited to speak to a certain to some universities, right? So what did I do? I basically came here and I wrote that letter in 30 seconds. And you know what I used? I used ChatGPT, right? Okay, and I simply say, write a letter to the university, right? To whichever university, right? For an invitation. And now we are starting to get into it slowly but surely, for an invitation to speak, right? About what? Technology, or the role of IT in our lives, right? Okay, and simply this gave me the letter, right? So this is why you cannot wish out, or you cannot adopt the status quo mentality and say, for me, I'm good with what I know. You want to try to improve your skills every day, and how to really integrate the new wave of technology to be able to help you. So with this, then someone will look at this and say, why do I need a secretary? Because ChatGPT can be my secretary, right? Okay, so that is the fear that is really happening out there. Or sometimes you can see the way I've been using this, basically to write code or to even optimize. So where I said, hey, I wrote some code and then I say, hey, ChatGPT, optimize this code for me, right? So then it takes my code that I've written, then what does it do? It gives me a much more better code for me to use, right? Does that make sense a little bit how we are trying to integrate this into our positions as data analysts, as IT people, to be even more efficient, not to be afraid, but basically use it for your own good. Does that make sense a little bit, guys? Give me a yes if this is starting to, to really make much more sense. Rather than becoming fearful about whether it is going to replace it, use it, right? Involve it, calculate it, make it work for you. That is essentially the mentality that we should have, right? Adopting it. Now, granted, some things will change, right? Some things will change. Probably some jobs will get lost. But for so long as I've always said this in all my presentation, that the only person who can fire you at your job is yourself, right? Okay, other than it being, if you stay there, if you don't update yourself, then basically you are on the chopping board. Become an automator. And avoid getting automated, right? So the only person who can fire yourself at your job or any other whatever is yourself. If you stay there not getting acquainted and improving yourself, then you're out of the market. Then other people are coming and they're coming to replace you really quick. Okay, now let's move on here. So you can see now the power of the new technology. Now the question then here is that, yes, most of you have heard about it, you have used about it and all that, and you're like, hey, Chris, basically, yes, I've been using it too, and so on. So that's good if you have. How have I been able to move a little bit further to integrate this into my system? We are talking about automation and integration, right? Now, if I go to my website here, so this is Coda, and this is Coda, this is my website here. Now, if you go to my website, I was thinking, how can I then integrate ChatGPT to be able to do some of the function? In other words, to be able to help to make it much more efficient I told you there are 4 reasons why we do this: efficiency, effectiveness, trying to pinpoint new markets, and so on, right? So now I was starting to think, how do we involve this power as quickly as possible to be able to gain an edge, right? Now I came here and I just decided to do a very simple thing, such as I can have you guys leave me some reviews, maybe about this presentation, or maybe you have taken the data analysis training with me and you want to leave some reviews about how basically this thing has gone, right? So basically you can share your experiences. And if you share your experiences, you will come to this page. Now, initially, this page was just blank. Basically, you put what the title was about. Let's say, okay, hey, I attended automation and what? And integration, right? And integration talk. Then you want to leave, okay, how did Chris do? This guy did not do so well, or hey, I like what he did, and so on, right? So, but sometimes the idea here is that people right now are so busy. We are very busy. We are very busy, especially as we grow old and so on. We tend to have multiple things. So if you tell people to come here and leave a review, so for example, you guys, you may want to leave a review, or you really want to. But then the problem here is that you go there and then you're like, okay, now I have to think about what to write. Now, what do I write about Chris, right? Okay, what is it? So you have a lot of questions on how that review should be written. So what I've done is to be able to integrate ChatGPT in order to generate a sample review for you, right? So I will come here, and this one is an API that I've integrated, and basically I have given a few questions, right? And again, those, if you're interested, we'll go to the code. And basically, if I click on generate another review, it will tend to. Now, so far I just put, and now you can see, you may not see it change, but it's actually changing. Then you can get it, you can make a copy, you can take this copy, place it here, and basically then you can be able to do what? You can be able to modify it, right? So instead of keying, then you can actually be able to modify. So this is making use of ChatGPT, or the new AI, integrating it with your website to be able to improve user experience, right? And the more users really like the experience when they go to your site, the more, hopefully, you get more customers. So this is how to inculcate the new ways of doing things: writing a script using the API, integrating it within your site, and guess what? And now all of a sudden, your site is not as boring. Now, when the users come here, they don't have to think about what to write to leave your review. Now, granted, some people can say, hey, no, I want to write it myself. And then they have an opportunity to write it. But for those of you who are busy and they just don't want to think too much, then they can just have a sample there, copy it there, then guess what? Submit very, very quickly, and probably just make some changes within it to what it is, that to capture their real intentions about it. Then they can go ahead and do that. Does that really make sense, guys? Go ahead and leave me again a chat. Yes, I'm using the yeses also to make sure that
Yes. Everyone
together.
seems to be happy in the chat so far. So
Yes.
you're doing good. You're doing good, Chris. Thanks. Continue.
So, sounds good. Sounds good. All right. Okay. Now let's move on. So ChatGPT is one of the things, and again, I will leave the idea of we can go in the back end and actually show you the API. It's actually very easy to implement for you. You don't even need to think about it, right? Okay. So that is the thing. So that's one of the ways in which one can be able to integrate that. Now, moving on, let's go to let's move on to another section of this presentation here. Let me just go back to this presentation here, and I want to just go back to the stock market, or let's probably look at the social media and the power of the social media, and again how we have been able to just integrate this in the whole sphere of social media. So just give me a second. I think I'm losing my trail here. Really quickly. This is the problem of juggling more screens. it's like the presentation. Really, okay, but I will go there, guys. Just I had opened my work here. Just bear with me for a second. All right, don't seem to see it, do I? Okay, just a second here, guys. Yes, so, okay, so this is the screen. So when it comes to the social media again, if you go to my website, just to give you some preamble, if you go to my website and you want to basically just have an idea or basically a run through of what it is that we have been able to do, you can sign up an account. Then once you sign up an account, you can actually go to support. If you go to support and then you go to big data, this is some of the things that I'm trying to do here, right? So I've been trying to integrate, as we talked about, as we are going to talk about social media, then the transfer, the cash app, the money transfer. So in Uganda or Ghana, where I was, they use MTN money transfer, right? Okay, so in the US, there is equivalent of that called Cash App, right? And Venmo and so on, right? So I will also show you how we have been able to do that if time allows. Then there is job application. So to automate, so basically what I've done is to write a script that goes ahead and sends applications, my resumes to the jobs, that filters the jobs that really I have to apply to, then it does it for me, right? After every week, then it basically for me, I will just grab the 490, whoever it is, the recruiter will just call me. Then I say, hey, okay, and then we can advance the conversation from there. We have already talked about ChatGPT, and we're going to talk about it a little bit more. Then we are going to go into the CredSpace, this another area of automation. So if you come to support and you go to big data, then you will see some of the things. Some of these things are in progress. Some of them you will click on them and somehow they don't work because it's actually work in progress, right? But some of them are actually currently getting used as we go on. For example, the testimonials that I just pointed out, right? Okay, now let's talk about social media, right? And this is one of the areas that is under testing. So if we go to social media specifically, so there are 3 areas that I'm trying to automate, right? One is WhatsApp, and the second is Facebook, and the third is Twitter. Now, granted, most of these things, except for Twitter here, they are still work in progress, right? But I want to demonstrate what are we doing this? This is another area where what I need to do is to be able to be efficient in terms of marketing. Now, you guys just sent me, prepared an ad, and you said, hey, you may as well share this ad to various platforms so that then people can be able to know. So some ads that I may use, any ad really. So let's say if you're talking about, hey, this is going to take place and so on, and I want to share this. But then I have so many groups, right? So if I do it manually, it will take me quite some time. So what do? I take this, this is WhatsApp, I take this, I've automated this, and then all I need to do is click, go ahead and click by a click of the button, then it will automatically send the message to do what? To all those groups, right? So that's the idea here. So the idea is to be able to automate it so that then if you publish it, then basically it can send to that. So that is the whole idea about it, to make things much more efficient when it comes to marketing, or really whatever it is that you want to do, or maybe you are just sending up an ad for a presentation that you're going to be giving, but you don't want to basically copy paste on multiple groups. Maybe you have 20 groups or even 30 groups. So you really want to make it easier for you. Now talk about Facebook as well, the same idea. Twitter, the same idea. In fact, I was carrying out a test on Twitter to have it actually after every month to post an ad there. And I was doing an exercise and I ended up, in fact, messing up. The script ended up continuously running. I think I had set it for every 5 seconds and I forgot about it. Then it ended up actually publishing these pictures and this ad here. And it published so many of them. So in fact, I've been having one of my employees to be able to go in there and delete, be able to delete it because I wanted to create another script that goes there and basically deletes all that. That makes work really, really easy. But in the meantime, they're actually deleting it manually. So, but this is what I mean, is basically you have an ad that you want to post there, and then you can have this thing that do it for you. As time goes by. Again, if you guys want to show you the scripts themselves and the code, I can easily show you, right? I have the code here, right? But I'm just giving you the benefits and see how these things are integrating themselves. Then we can always talk about the APIs and how to actually do that, right? So that is the whole idea about social media and what we are actually trying to do. So the idea here is that if I come to this, you can add a new group. Let's say talk about WhatsApp. If I come here, I can actually add a group, the group name, the WhatsApp name that you want to send. So we have one, and sooner or later you guys will see in the group for which I belong with you guys. You will see I will add that group, add the group ID, and then add what it is that I want to advertise. Then you will be seeing an ad there. You'll be thinking of the one who is sending it, but actually it's the system sending after every 2 weeks on that group, right? Okay, just to show you like the power of automation and integration nowadays. Now, the beauty is that, of course, you already know this, or you may even have sensed this talk, right? This is not something new. I'm not giving any new talk here. What is more important that I want you guys to get out of this is learning how to automate. Because if you don't, then this is an indicator to you that some of these things that you are doing in your job could actually be taken away. Because some of us, we are thinking on how to make those things easier. And the companies nowadays, what they're doing is they're looking for people who can be able to involve themselves in automation and integration and to be able to make work as easy as possible. I told you that's what the companies are in the business of doing. So the message that you want to get from this, hey, is to say, hey, first, these things are possible. It's not like just mere talk. This is what I'm trying to tell you here by integrating on my own site and even showing you some of the APIs that we can actually be able to do. So that is the core message, right, that I need you guys to take out of this. So that is just as far as social media is really, really concerned when it comes to automation and
Okay,
integration, right?
sorry,
Yeah,
can I
please.
just interject there? Please do check the chat there. So there's a question that says, if you could share any guidelines for a junior role and other job applications you can use for Python as well. Thanks.
Yes, one of the topics for this webinar was job application using Python and other applications. Could you share some guidelines on how one can do this, especially for a junior role? Yes, so we will be talking, yeah, we can, so depending on how much time we have in this show, right? Some of these questions actually, to do justice to you guys, for those who are interested specifically after this, I can set up probably a longer session. Then that way we can actually get into the nitty-gritty of it, what it is that you want to apply for, and so on. Then probably we can map the script to your end, right?
Okay, that's fine.
Because some of them could be really, really elaborative for the session. Okay. Yeah, but I'm available. We will be connecting, sharing the contacts after this. And yes, I'm actually willing to go deep with any of you who is interested to actually get there. Does that make sense, Lucy? All right. So let's proceed on then. Right. So there's good. All right. So we will share information, guys. That's the whole purpose of this talk, is to share information and to be able to help out. Because that you know, if we come to a talk and no one picks anything out of this, then basically we are wasting our time, and we don't want to do that. Okay, one of the places that I want to, another aspect of this automation, right, that I want to get and then get, it's going to take a little bit long here, right? Okay, but it's going to be vital, is the whole aspect of stocks market, of the stock market. And this is again another, it's as practical as it gets, right? So what I've been doing, I've been trading stocks. I've been doing stocks and options for quite some time, for about 8 years now, right? And essentially this area, and what I'm going to, this is where like I want to really point out, to be very, very careful, because some of you might take this and then you go put your real money, right? So if you have never done options, specifically options, I would highly advise not to do it until you take like probably 6 months course to learn it fast. Because if you do it, if you go ahead and do it, then get it from me, there is about 97% chance you're going to lose your money, right? Okay. someone told you like you have a 97% chance of losing it and only 3% of winning it, then I don't think I will get into that bet, right? Okay, so I want to be very careful here, especially as I talk about this area. So you will pick several things. One is the benefits, and secondly, if you're interested in the options trading, then again, this is another question that we can actually talk a little bit more about this, right? But for now, if you have never traded options, then I will advise not to until you study and get educated in them, because they're dangerous for new people, right? The stats there are so against the new people. Okay, so with this, then where am I going to start? So let me go through this for you guys to see the benefits of this. How has the integration helped me to be able to enhance profits, right? To move the probability of getting a profit to be really high. Like almost every position I set, right? There is an 85% chance of me making money into it, and only 15% chance of, let's say, coming out neutral or losing it, right? Okay, so there is we do have these guys, they're called Options Play. These are different company that basically I have an account with them, right? I've done research around them, and they do research about their positions, right? That they set, and basically I make use of them quite a lot. Now, essentially, the first 3 years, what all I could do is just rely on them. So I come here, you can see they have various reports. So they have various reports, and this talk here is going to be, this part section is going to be a little bit boring, especially if you don't know anything about the calls and shorts and puts and so on. But I will not go into the detail. The idea here, if you are a data analyst, just understand how I'm trying to manipulate the data to be able to get an advantage. So forget about the talk about the all these underlines that are labeled around here, right? Okay, so I hope that is clear to everybody there, right? Okay, so you can see this site. What they do here, they invest in options trading. Basically, they offer education, and they come up with some positions that are probably, they have a probability starting from 45% all the way to about 65%. So that's the probability of winning for the positions that they set. So between 45 and 60%, right? So far, between the first 3 years of my trading, I was relying on them, which means the probability that I was operating with was between a high of 65%. As I continue to learn with my skills in the IT sector, right? Now I think about it, how can I enhance this probability from 60% to a high of 85%? You see that? Okay, so that is the point. How do we add an additional to be as more guaranteed in the market as possible? Now, there are no guarantees. So we are talking about high probabilities of really making a profit, right? So we start here now. These guys will come here and produce reports. So this is one of the reports. So to most of you being data analysts, you can understand this is just a table, right? So they will go ahead and have a table of and have reports. So they will have this report, and again they will have the company name, the symbol, the action, what you need to do, sell to open, the expiration, the days to expiration, the strike price, the mid price, the bid price, the ask price, the implied volatility, the earnings, and the flags, and the stock price, and so on, right? So they will generate this table here, right? And as I said, guys, I know it might be boring to talk about strike price, mid price, but forget about the language, the titles. All you're looking about here for you is just a table with the data, right? Okay, so therefore, I take then this data and I manipulate it quite a bit, right? So what I do is that I've written then a script that goes in and sets a few rules on this data set. So for example, if the earnings date, in most cases, I will do like dates for which there's no earnings, because it's much more dangerous, especially if you're trading close to the earnings, right? Because you don't know how the stock, that position or that stock might actually go. It varies, actually tends to go up or down really, really violently. right? So in most cases, you will see most experts try to advise, quote unquote advice, generally not to trade around earnings, right? So basically then I will come and set, for example, the first position here does not, you can see it does not have earnings. Okay, and some of these you can still trade if the expiration date, like you are talking about June 6th here, is so far distance. Let's say it's about 2 months to the earnings or 3 months away. So basically distance in the future, and then yes, you can, because you know your position will expire way before the earning date. So these are just some of the rules that you may actually try to apply. One of the other rules is basically I try to come here and say, I need positions whereby, so let me go to the script, just a little bit. I know it's a little bit to the script to actually and then show you some of the rules that I'm actually placing here. So one of the rules is so look at here. One, this is implied volatility. So I'm saying implied volatility has to be above 4 or 4%, right? Then the returns, right? The total return. So this is the raw return, essentially the profit. I need something that guarantees me about 3.5%. Then I need a stock price. So sometimes most of the positions, the stock price, the lower the stock price, the lower the margins. So basically I need where a stock price of 15 and above. So basically what I'm doing here, for those of you who value data analysts, I'm filtering, right? I'm just trying to filter. Now you can say, well, Chris, why can't I just pull this data into a reporting tool such as Tableau? Then you apply the filter, and then you may as well do that, right? No question about it. In fact, some of the reports that I'm generated at the end, I actually apply the normal filters in reports such as tools such as Power BI, Tableau, and then I just apply the filtering. But remember what we are talking about here. What is the topic of this session? It's automation and integration. I want to automate things so that they automatically do things for me. That's the idea, or that's the goal, right? Okay, so this is why I will apply some of the filters to the script so that they are filtered automatically, and then I don't have to go into a report manually trying to do that, right? Okay, so these are some of the rules. So you can see I'm setting some of the rules. Number of days have to be greater than 21, and then the implied volatility, if I'm talking about the short puts, has to be greater than 15 and less than 50%. Then the annualized return has to be greater than 65%. So just to try to understand like where I'm going in terms of setting the rules. So that's what I do in the back end. Okay, try to set some of those rules, right? Now, what will happen is that will be filtered automatically, that a new report will be generated onto my site. So I'm going to option play, an external site, writing a script that automatically fetches this reports on option play. Then once it does, it applies a few rules. Then finally, it gives me the information that I need, just those positions that I need, that I think they're much more likely to elevate my case, right? So first I need where annualized return is about what? Greater than 65%. So you can see all this has been filtered out automatically, so I don't need to filter. Greater than 65%. Then the number of days have to be greater than what? 21 days, right? So you can see now it only gave me days that are 21 days. Then I put there the earnings date. So remember what I talked about is that the earning date, sometimes if your expiration is greater than the earning date, then in most cases you want to get out of that position before the earnings before the company comes out and announces the earnings, because historically that tends to move that position really violently in any direction. Okay, so with that in mind, then you want to be a volatility about, I said greater than 15% and less than 50 when it comes to the short put. But the idea here, I'm applying the rules. So let's not lose the conversation here of what we're trying to do. I'm applying the rules then to filter down to positions that I need. Now, is this enough? you know, does this give me an edge? No, because all I've done is that just taken the same data set and filtered it down. So I've not improved the probability. This is exactly the same probability of 65% from option play. Now, remember I said, how do I then move that to about 80% or 85%? So what I do then, you go to your broker. So once you go to your broker now, so what it has helped you here is to be able to filter based on your rules of trading. Then from there, you want to go to your broker here. And what you will do is you will put in the watch list. So you move all these positions here into a broker here, which is this a platform for the broker. Then you create a watch list. Then you will create a watch list. So I will go ahead and show you the watch list. Basically, what I want to watch list. So I had opened this earlier on. So you can see now I'm not trading yet. I'm not any of my. So then basically you can see here, AMD is now up. And so on and so forth. So you can see your watch list, the way it's performing. Now, I'm looking for is those that are negative. So the don't want those. If it's positive, like see the other here, it has already gained. In other words, we're right. Already gained. So because it has already left. So I want one that actually goes as negative as possible, right? As negative as possible. Then I will actually place that trade. So essentially all I need is that trade to simply recover to where it was. Just to come to where it was, right? If it just comes to where it was, I've already won. So that's how you move your probabilities, right? From integration, basically fetching information, writing a script that fetches, then writing another that basically filters for you the information. Then also the ones that fetches information, we're getting into so much details. So this goes to option play, and so if I can be able to, you guys who are interested, option. Yes, so as you can see here, it goes and fetches and it grabs the link, the file itself. Then it brings that file. We do a little bit of massaging on it. Then from there, we will write another script that basically then applies the filters. And then once it applies the filters, then we get the information. Once we have we have narrowed down our list, then we what? Then in the watch list, then finally you pick now the ones that are as negative as possible. And those are the ones that you place. And if you place that, all you're hoping for is for it to just recover just a little bit, and you've already won. Does that make sense, guys? Yeah, give me a yes if we are together so far in terms of side of the equation of how we use it to be able to get ahead, right? In whatever. So we have always said that if you are trading in the stock market and you're not using the tools, then you're trading blind. You're blindly trading. You need to think about actually right of the market. Otherwise, with the time, you will continue losing. So it's very, very important to use the capability to be able to get an. Now, at this point in time, what I'm going to do, so those are the three core areas, items here that I have. So if I, oh, sorry, what happened? Okay, so if I can go ahead. So much of these items that I have here, some of them are still work in progress, as I pointed out, right? Okay, some of them are functional at this point in time, right? But those are really the core areas for which now we can be able to know and on how to do it. What I can do later on, as I promised Lucy there, what I can do later on is to share this the PowerPoint actually, because the PowerPoint has the step-by-step process. So if I'm not wrong, if you go here, it actually has create an account, open an API for whatever it is that you're talking about. testimonials. So in those testimonials, the first thing is you have an account, then that account will generate the API. So it's just an account, just like you sign up, right? Then it will give you an API key. Then in that API key, I have the source code for it. You see, that shows you specifically how you will be able to map it. And once you do that, then you can be able to integrate that and leave a review. So in this PowerPoint, what I've done, I've laid out specifically how to do it and the link that goes to it. So essentially, for those who are interested, I can share this PowerPoint. Then you can go ahead and be able to do that. Now, finally, I want to now summarize or end this by talking a little bit about, I know I had mentioned about interested in further, hey, how do we enhance this knowledge? Not only like leaving it here, but how do we move forward, right? Okay, and I want to leave by a bit about code and then we sum it up. So what we do like project training, and the project-based training is basically we define a use case, then we educate you through the use case, right? Now, in most cases, we have not been training automation and integration as such. No, we train actually on data analysis, right? Then for those who are interested in the things that I've been presenting tonight, such as automation and integration using Python, then I will always require you to have some basic Python knowledge and others, because I pick up at the advanced level. But what do we do in terms of training? So there are 3 areas that we train. ETL sector. In the ETL, we train on Alteryx, right? Alteryx, cleaning of data. Then on reporting, we train on Tableau and Power BI. It's very, very interesting, some of the things that we do there. All right, we go a little bit deep, right? Not just we start at the elementary level, then we start to exercise that tool to really manipulate the tool itself to do exactly what we want, right? Okay, and then the database development or the database, then basically, for those who are interested, the classes are 10 weeks. They run for 10 weeks. Then they're held on Saturday and Sunday, 1 p.m. But we also do interview training, because it's very easy to train on the knowledge itself. But it's another thing to be able to pass an interview, right? So one of the things that we have invested in is how to actually pursue and hammer an IT interview. Whether you're applying as a project manager, as a Scrum Master, as a data analyst, as a Tableau developer, Power BI developer, it really doesn't matter. We do have a formula, a specific formula, that it doesn't matter what role you're applying for. It is a very essential. This formula just works across. So the way we do it, basically we have identified about 8 topics. 8 topics for that once you are able to write the speeches on these 8 topics and master these 8 topics, then it doesn't really matter the interview, whether it's Python developer, SQL developer, it really doesn't matter. So those 8 topics are foundational and they cut across. They have, like people do, is practice on those 8 topics. Practice until they do like about 24 sessions on it. Together with me. Then from there, we look at about over 150 technical interview questions, right, that we have, right? Okay, then we do like real simulations of mock interviews. So then I will be interviewing you. I will have my coaches, my other people meet you and then interview you. Then we will also have the ability to listen to some past interviews that we have done. So that then it prepares you to be able to actually sit in any interview, then you crack it, right? And then finally, we can talk about job application and so on. So this is how we usually go about it in our training, in our project-based training, where we cover end to end in terms of training, especially in those 3 areas: reporting, ETL, and then the database training. Right now, with that in mind, I think I've come to the end. The rest of the questions I can as we probably to guys. If any question at all, any question, as we start by saying there's no stupid questions, so you can always to chime in and ask any questions that you want to ask. Then from there we can talk more about it. All right, guys. Any question? right?
If you don't
Chris,
get
on
it,
my side,
you know.
I'd say it's a comment actually. I'd say one thing I'd say I appreciate is the idea that just because these AI
Absolutely, go
tools
ahead,
are
please.
getting better, it's
Yeah, go
no
ahead.
reason for, especially for programmers, this is for programmers and all coders, for us to actually be worried about our jobs. It's like you said, these are tools. If anything, this will make our jobs easier and even better. I think this opens a space for us to be more creative now.
Absolutely.
No, makes absolutely much sense.
And yeah, and I hope for those who have attended, you have picked
Something out of this. Emmanuel, Fortune, anything? All right, I will hand it over back to you guys, and we can end it there.
Okay, awesome. Thanks a lot, Chris. I mean, this has been a super awesome talk. We'll have it up on YouTube very soon as well for those who couldn't join. And again, Chris, wow, really mind blowing. I actually wanted to see someone who uses Python do something really mind blowing. This has been mind blowing. Most Python guys I see, they'll show me like 10 lines of code and not even explain what's going on. So this has been a very good talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thanks again, Chris. And I'd also like to thank
the
everyone who
application
joined
part
us
is what
today.
is
more important.
Yeah, true.
Yes.
It's what you do with the code.
It's what you do with the code.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No,
No,
thanks a lot. And I hope to have
more sessions like this. Hopefully next time, there will be more members. Yeah, I hope if
For
I
sure.
have some slide, we can always join. Advance this.
100%, Chris. I mean, we're looking forward to you joining us again. This has been an awesome talk. We can't wait for the next one, actually. And I'd like to join us. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, guys. This has been an awesome event. This is GDG Soweto. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys. Nice talk, Chris. Really enjoyed it.
Bye.